This Voices in Aging presentation is brought to you by Aging in Community, providing resources and information to strengthen the lives of our friends and neighbors through the power of aging in community. Home is where it all begins.
I can't believe you haven't heard enough of me, but I appreciate you being here. I titled this talk, What's Your Superpower? Because I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship a little bit and why I think boomers make the best founders and the best entrepreneurs. And I have some data to support what I think, but I'm just gonna. You saw this in the last session. Over half of boomers, or over half of the entrepreneur population is now over 50. 51% are between 50 and 88 years old. A lot of people lost jobs. A lot of boomers lost jobs during the recession. Did not find reemployment very quickly. And so, there are people in the audience this morning who were people who started businesses because of the recession, because they were laid off. The Kauffman Foundation, who does great work in monitoring entrepreneurship, their startup index says 25% of the startup population, the entrepreneur population, is between 55 and 64. And of course, the number of women entrepreneurs is like going through the roof. And that, we could take it further. The number of minorities starting businesses are going through the roof. So the whole landscape of entrepreneurship has become very diverse, much more diverse than it's ever been. So I have 3 reasons that I believe that you all make better entrepreneurs as baby boomers, as older adults. And so I'm going to share those 3, and then I'm going to share what I think the superpower is that boomers have. And these are my personal observations. There's a little science here, and where I can find science, I'm going to share it. But this is what I believe to be true, and it certainly is my experience. And the first one of those is our network, right? And I know you're going to have a chance to talk about LinkedIn and social networking in a little while, but hard work and talent are just sort of that's a given, right? If you're going to be in a business. But older people have these incredible networks, and sometimes we don't even realize. If you're big on LinkedIn, do you ever go back and look at all the people and who you're linked to, or even on Facebook, and go, my God, I know a lot of people. How is it possible I've collected all these people? But I think that network that's created over time, and the people who kind of stand the test of time in our relationships are really important. And sometimes we don't even realize until we become entrepreneurs that we need to go back to those people, right? And a lot of times they're people we've just known for one reason or another. We just kept in touch, and then all of a sudden one day you go, I need to reach out to them. I've got to write curriculum for XYZ, and she's been at a university doing this her entire career, and so we, the network. We like in-person networking, and not to take away from LinkedIn or social media, because I am a huge devotee of all kinds of social media, but we like face-to-face, right? Do you ever look at your kids or their kids and go, well, I know what the part in the top of my grandson's head looks like, and he's 6. Because if you don't take his iPad away, he'll be like this. My daughter, I don't even know why her phone makes phone calls. I'm not even sure she knows she can make phone calls from her phone. Our communication is text, right? We text. I know more about my grandson's lives from Facebook than I do from any conversation we have, right? So we like face-to-face. And the fact of the matter is, in a Wall Street Journal poll recently, 82% of the business world said they prefer face-to-face communication. So that tells me that younger entrepreneurs are going to struggle because they are really uncomfortable. We have created a nation of really anxious young people who really have a hard time sort of putting down a device and looking somebody in the eye. And my youngest daughter is 32 now. And she told me the other day, she goes, the best thing that you and Dad ever taught me about work was how to shake somebody's hand and look it in the eye. It is a complete lost art. One, when kids don't want to shake hands, you know what they do? They hold their cell phone in that hand.
Oh, wow.
And then they just go, hey, how you doing? Right? And they don't remember names. I had someone say to me at a conference the other day, you want to tap? So I've got your information. And I'm like, how about I give you a business card? Let's go old school. I'm gonna go old school on your butt. We're gonna exchange a business card. And he's like, oh, okay. And like, you know those cards that they gave you when you started your job. Anyway, we like our networks. We like face-to-face communication, and we build trust, right? You can build trust when you see people face-to-face and look them in the eye. So network. I mean, you know, the network is about our ability to raise capital, if you're a capitalist, building teams, right? Who do we look for when we go to build a team? You look for people you know you can trust. A lot of us, when we started businesses, we created teams out of our network as our sort of our building block startup team. And it, you know, that face-to-face is also about finding clients. I mean, if you're not comfortable in front of older people and their families when you're trying to start a business, working in this space, you struggle. So the number 2 reason, I think, is our experience. That's sort of duh. But really, it's our experience. Even if it's not experience in aging, it's our experience. We have decades, not of business experience, but of life experience to draw from, right? Every failure, every success, having children, having grandchildren, all of those things create the person who shows up, right? Creates the way we show up every single day. And so, you know, there's a lot of science and there's a lot of adult developmental psychology about this. But as we get older, we show up in a much more authentic way than we did when we were young. Like you talk about that tomorrow. Approaches. You know, the share of people under 30, who own businesses has fallen 65%. It's the lowest it's been since the 1980s. It's a quarter of a century low, and that's Federal
Could you say
Reserve
that
data.
statistic one more time?
Yeah, the share of people under 30 who own a business has fallen 65% since 1980. So, you know, we all pick up Fast Company, we don't all, but you pick up Fast, you look at the covers, because I do this when I go to airports, I stand and look at the magazines because I want to kind of know what's in the zeitgeist. You look at Fast Company, you look at Inc., you look at anything that entrepreneurs sort of want to read to sort of fill ourselves up. And how many of the covers are young founders, right? Mark Zuckerberg's in the world. You know, Reid Hoffman was not a child when he founded LinkedIn. he wasn't. I mean, you know, so this young college student dropping out of school, starting business, you know, they're awesome, they're amazing, they're super creative, but they are not the norm. And I think a lot of times we get stuck thinking we're not the norm. Oh my God, what am I doing starting a business at this age? What am I crazy to do this? No, you're not crazy. You've got all this experience, you've got all this stuff. And by the way, with some exceptions in Silicon Valley, an investor would much rather put their money into a team with a track record who's got proven success. You know, there are some VCs who are looking for the Zuckerbergs, they're looking for that fast growth, fast churn young person, but the majority of them want a team who's been there, done that, and can replicate it, can do it again. So, you know, think about what's in your experience. The third thing that I think is like super important for us as entrepreneurs is owning our age. Amen. Own it. I'm Lori and I'm 58 years old. And I've earned every single year of it. I mean, I've earned the good years, the bad years, you know, and I am really excited about the next 30 because I fully expect to be working for another 30. You know, Stanford Center for Longevity, who does a lot of great research, did an employee study. And some of the findings, and I don't have stats on this, but I think this is a great anecdote, found that older employees are considered by companies to be better collaborators, to be more loyal, and to be the best mentors in their company. So that's from the employee side. The Global Entrepreneurship Monitor says the world is beginning to understand how senior entrepreneurs, with their wealth of work and life experience, deep networks, and eagerness to remain productive, are the biggest untapped resource in the world. Not our country, the world. And a Founder Institute study found that founders and entrepreneurs 55 plus have more innovation, skills, and potential than younger people do, because they have more experience to draw from. So if you kind of go back to what we talked about this morning, older entrepreneurs have an easier time with beginning with a beginner's mind, with saying, and this is completely the opposite of what gets written in headlines. Don't even get me going on the intergenerational strife headlines that are all over the place. Older entrepreneurs have the ability to set aside what they already know. They have emotional IQ, enough emotional IQ to set that aside and say, if we were starting this from scratch, how would we do it? Where a lot of younger entrepreneurs stumble onto it. I mean, they literally, truly stumble onto a great idea. An older entrepreneur can be more thoughtful about that. And that's a function of age and wisdom and experience. But here's what I think the real superpower is for older people who choose to own businesses. And it's certainly, I want the t-shirt for this one, is resilience. The boomer superpower for being in business after 55 is all about resilience. Baby, can you bounce? Because if you can't, you better learn. Because a lot of us have been on our knees at times. A lot of us have been broke. A lot of us have been laid off. A lot of us didn't know what our next act was going to be. I cannot tell you how many times I've reinvented myself, not in a negative way, but had to like sit down and give myself a talking to and say, if you're going to get back out there, I reinvented myself from being a general agency person to coming into the agency space 20 years ago. I mean, I'd come from healthcare marketing, and I got to California and I met the AgeWave team, and that's how I got into aging. I didn't have this long history as a young adult learning the aging field. I learned it. I think I turned 40 when I was working with AgeWave. So, resilience, resilience, resilience. Resilience is about emotional IQ. It's about your intellectual IQ. It's essential to innovation. We know how to bounce back from mistakes. We also know that what seems like a catastrophic moment in our history, it's going to be okay at the end of the day, right? We know that in our age. Where a young person has something really bad happen to them, like let's say divorce or the loss of a child, and they go, they have no context for how they're going to move forward. We've got context, we've got experience, we have wisdom. And I think in many ways, part of our role as entrepreneurs at this age is to mentor young people. I hate headlines that say, oh, this is a Gen X problem, or this is a Gen Y problem, and oh my God, those millennials. And I make fun of my millennial daughter, trust me, and head down in her phone. But we gotta bring these people along. We gotta bring them along fast, right? You saw the numbers. So, resilience, 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 and mentorship. And I'm done. And I have spoken.
The Voices in Aging sessions were brought to you by the Society of Certified Senior Advisors. Check us out online at www.csa.us for educational and certification opportunities.